How dog sitting almost got me killed. I want to start by saying that this isn't the first bad experience I've had dog sitting, but it's defiantly the worst. So I started dog sitting back when I was 13 and made good money doing it. I'm currently 19 and this happened when I was 18. I set up an easy way for people to contact me about dog sitting. I put out posts on Facebook and Instagram about it often and would get people in my messages asking to dog sit. I got a notification from Instagram one day stating someone was trying to message me. I accepted it, and the message said that me and my wife are looking to find a dog sitter while we go away for a week to Florida. You will have to work the 4/11th this month. We will pay you $300 for the week. You're welcome to stay at our house or go back to your own home. I started talking back and forth with this man and we're gonna call him Mr. Brown for the sake of privacy. So I agreed to take the gig and told him I would stay at his house for the week. Once I got to his house I was introduced to his two dogs Mina and Letty. Mina was a little Yorkie and Letty was a blue hound. I was shown around his house which was surrounded by 76 acres. I live in a farm town and live on 32 acres myself, so staying here didn't really freak me out. The closest neighbors were pretty far away and you would actually have to drive there if you wanted to talk to them. They told me the rules and when to feed them blah blah blah, then Mrs. Brown told me about the nearest neighbor. In her words, she was a nice person, just a little drugged up and confused. She mentioned how sometimes she would pull into their driveway instead of hers and would end mistaking Mrs. Brown for her dead daughter. Hearing this made me feel pretty bad for her, and I know all too well how hard it is for parents to lose their child because of how my parents were after losing my brother in a car accident. Mrs. Brown said she shouldn't do anything bad though, and if she came up to the house just point her back home, and she should leave with no problems. After they left I was down to watch movies and just chill with the dogs. The first 2 days were fine with no hiccups. The third day, however, the old woman who called Ms. Rose did pull into the driveway. I came outside as she was getting out of the car. She looked up to see me and immediately she got back in her car and left. I chalked it up to her realizing it was the wrong house when she saw me and went back inside. Later that night though I got a call from Mrs. Brown asking if I was okay. I said yes and asked why. She then went on to tell me about how she got a call from Ms. Rose and that she said there was a robber at their house. I explained what happened and she just laughed and said she must have been confused and forgot that they were out of town. I ended the phone call making a note to go over there tomorrow to clear the air about me being a robber. Once I went to bed that night though things got crazy. I woke up around 2 hearing a light scratching sound that almost sounded like ticking coming from outside the window. At first I thought it might have been a bird or some sort of night creature and left it alone. But the noise kept me from falling back asleep. I wanted to scare it away so I got up and went to open the blinds but screamed when I lifted the blinds at the sight of Ms. Rose trying to pry the window open with a pair of pliers. Once she saw me though she started banging on the window with the pliers. The dogs started barking now and I quickly got up, told the dogs to follow me, grabbed my phone and ran to a room with no windows which was the bathroom, locking the door in case she got in. I called 911 and explained the situation, quickly giving them the address from what I could remember. She said that police would be there in 10 minutes. I had gotten the dogs to be quiet and put them in the closet connected to the bathroom to make sure she didn't hear them. I was trying to stay calm and I could still hear the pounding on the window. As I continued to talk to the operator, and then I heard glass shatter. I cursed under my breath, trying not to cry. I was really scared and pretty much ready to cry from the fear of being beaten to death by someone who is clearly not in the right state of mind. I was whispering what was happening to the operator hiding in the back of the bathroom in the tub. After about 4 minutes of pretty much silence I heard footsteps and I could see feet under the other side of the door, and I cursed to myself again. I then see Ms. Rose get on her hands looking under the crack and I mistakenly let out a gasp. She gets up quickly, pounding at the door. I can tell she's still using the pliers. I am at this point crying, asking the operator where the police are, to which she responds 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes felt like in forever. I screamed at Ms. Rose to please go away, and she screamed back that I shouldn't be here. Once I heard the sound of police cars and about a minute later them trying to kick the door down, though I felt a little better. I was told to stay on the line till the intruder was caught, and that police were not trying to get into the house. Eventually they did get into the house and I yelled to get their attention, not that they needed it. She was still banging on the door. Once they got into the room, she was told to drop her weapon, and she obeyed, saying she didn't do anything wrong. They got her in cuffs and a police officer told me it was okay to unlock the door, to which I slowly got up and unlocked the door. After being taken to the police station and giving them my story for their report, I went to my parents' house. I was just too scared to be alone. The next day I called Mrs. Brown and explained the situation. I got full payment even after telling them I wasn't going back to the house. They called me a few days later saying that Ms. Rose was under the influence of drugs, and in her words she told the police she decided to take care of the robber herself, and that she did nothing wrong. She was charged with breaking and entering, which is kinda ironic. After that I quit dog sitting, and am a lot more paranoid and always make sure my doors and windows are locked. So Ms. Rose, let's not meet again. Guy with a hatchet. I moved California in May. Having lived in Utah most of my life, this was a big change. Where I'm from is fairly safe. I could walk home at night, and usually not worry too much. Everyone has warned me how dangerous this area can be and to be vigilant. I carry pepper spray. I've never had any issues till tonight. I ride the fast transit train system often. Usually at least a few times a week. To get there from my apartment I have to walk about a mile, most of which is an enclosed trail that runs behind a neighborhood and next to the train tracks. There's one entrance on one end, one in the middle, and the other end opens up to the train station parking lot. Last week as I was walking home around 10 p.m., I had to walk past a man who was pretty obviously homeless. It seemed like he was looking for something he lost, and talking to himself. I had to walk past him to get home. So I tried to just put my head down and quickly walk past. He blocks my way saying, "Excuse me. Hey, did you see this thing about this big when you were walking through here?" Confused I say, "No, sorry," and hurriedly walk away. I can hear him trying to talk more to me, but I kept going and he luckily didn't follow. A few days later I encountered him again on the same trail and he tried to talk to me again, but I just said, "Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about," and kept going. Well, tonight I walk into the train station and he's coming out of the elevator as I'm going down the escalator and starts yelling at me. "Excuse me, wait, ma'am." I ignore him, but he follows and won't leave me alone, so I turn around and say, "What?" He says, "Hey, did you see my speaker?" He then says, "You know, since you were on the trail that night?" I tell him, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." He then says, "Well, can I just look in your backpack real quick then, cause you looking really guilty right now?" I tell him no, and he gets mad and takes a step towards me, so I pull out my pepper spray and tell him, "Leave me alone or I will pepper spray you." He starts yelling about how he doesn't care and how I better not have his stuff, but he walks away. I walk to the far end of the platform away from him and call my roommate and tell her what's happening. That's when the guy walks up holding a hatchet that he tries to hide under his jacket, and I hold up my pepper spray and stand up and tell him to back the frick up, cause I'm not playing around. He puts his hands up and backs away. My roommate calls the transit police for me. I can hear the guy screaming somewhere upstairs in the station. Luckily my train pulled up right then and I hopped on. Really hoping to never meet Hatchet Guy again, and for the last time, no, I don't have your freaking speaker.